parents were huge role models to me. My mother, more of the personal feel. I was a bit of a mommy's boy, still am actually. My dad was a big athlete in his day, qualified for the 1976 Olympics in Montreal. I suppose that kind of, high level sport and, work ethic, he had a huge influence on the sporting side of things. My dad came from humble beginnings in Martinique, very humble beginnings. You fish to eat, and if you don't fish, you don't eat. He ended up moving to Paris to do army service. He fell in love while he was there. My mom was a young girl going over to Paris to learn how to speak French, and ended up meeting my father while my dad was DJing, of all things, with the big massive afro. It's actually quite cool. He had a huge afro, like huge, which I like to slag him about nowadays. And yeah, I met my mom while they were DJing and fell in love, and life moved then from Martinique to Paris over to Cork, to Ireland. And I followed a few years later, so yeah. My father would have been in here every week, so I come in here all the time with my dad picking up the local produce. He would have been the main cook in the house. He'd actually, there's some great spots to come in for spices and things like that. So he'd come in, get his spices, come home, cook it, chicken columbos and all the Caribbean dishes, jerk chicken. So yeah, really cool. If you have a good palate, yeah, you'd enjoy it. Oh, it's a warm. Hey, Alex, you well? Good. Flat out, bye. All good? Yeah, flying. Yeah.
And your mum was good?
Yeah, the parents are good, yeah. Having babysitting as much as possible. You know yourself. I will indeed. Good man, see you later. Growing up in Cork was amazing. I loved it. Good friends in close proximity, playing sport with each other every weekend, messing around on the weekend, chasing girls, and everything in Cork is so close. So when we moved to secondary school, everybody's close to each other. So you're able to hang out and constantly be with your friends and, enjoy the life. It had its challenges, but for the most part, it was amazing. When I was very young, I would have been the only brown kid in school, and you can be looked at differently, and you can be mocked differently, or people take out anger on you in matches differently, especially if you tend to do well. So little things like that. But yeah, it all shapes you. It shapes me now, and I think a lot of it's from my childhood experiences, both good and bad. I think like the number one thing for me to do as a child, I had full of energy. I was full of, get up and go. So I had to, harness that energy, and sport was the best means for me to do that. My love for sport started with GAA, especially here in Cork. It's huge here. So many clubs. Blackrock, my own club. I played there for years until I was about 15 or 16, till I had to call time for rugby. But hurling was, my first real love. It kept me out of trouble for sure growing up, which I had the glint in my eye. I was at times teetered on the line of being good and naughty. So yeah, it straightened me out and kept me on a good path. Current president of Cork, Charlie Murphy, got me into rugby. Just in passing with my father one day, went up to his petrol station, and he was annoying my dad for weeks. Bring him up to Cork. And finally my dad did. He wasn't a huge fan of rugby, didn't know much about it, but eventually brought me up one day and I took to it like a duck to water. Loved the physicality, the argy-bargy. I was only 6 or 7 and it's not much tackle, but the whole mindset around beating players one-on-one and having to tackle or learning how to tackle, all these things. I loved the game straight away. Incredible memories on this pitch. It's like the first team, I suppose, of adult rugby I was involved in, and great memories of trying to break into the team here, and some great battles against the old enemies. Like surrounding neighbours like Dolphin, and then you'd have the Garryones and Shannons coming to town. And back when I was starting off playing rugby here, they would have been star-studded, highly competitive, and I was lucky enough to be a part of a great team here in Con, and we played some really nice rugby. We were the Galacticos of the All-Ireland League, 10 Munster players playing. I had some great teammates throughout the years, Peter O'Mahony obviously being one of them. And yeah, we played on the same team since we were six or seven, all the way through to Praise. We went to the same school together, we were in the same class together, and then represented Munster straight after together in Ireland together, and both played for the Lions, which is quite cool to have two kids from the same team on minis go all the way that far in the game is impressive. Here we have all the internationals who've represented Ireland. There's a great history of players playing at the highest level in club rugby and representing Cork, and then some people like Donncha. Donncha has pretty much stayed the same, bar the fake tan. Raj, the same cheeky grin. We won the double with Cork in 2010, and myself and Pete were on the same team. We were starting as well. Archer was playing, John Ryan, Billy Holland. Who else? Dennis Hurley was also on that team as well. We went back to back in 2010 and winning the Cup and the All-Ireland League, and that was a special year. Great celebrations. Back here actually, in this clubhouse. If the walls could talk, isn't that what they say? I'm back here quite a lot with my children now. But yeah, incredibly fond memories. Some great tries scored out on this pitch. It feels like deja vu almost. Now I'm with my iPhone out. My dad used to have the camcorder on his shoulder recording me, and yeah, it's just great. Donnacha O'Callaghan currently coaches the under-10s, which both my kids are involved in, and they're in one ear out the other with me when it comes to sport, which is great. I don't mind that. I love it. Anything Donnacha says and anything Donnacha tells them to do, they're on it straight away. My kids' friends would be asking for tickets to matches and, oh, is your dad going to coach us? Or, you know, these little things. And rugby now is the cool thing to do in the household, which is normal, to be expected. But I love watching them play. They're brilliant. Raj had a huge influence on my playing, I suppose, mindset. I was very young. I was a bit too relaxed at times, never took myself or the game too seriously. He was the biggest big game animal, I suppose, you know, big games, big players play well. And I really looked up to that, and I always thought that I would do the same, or I had that ability too to turn it on for big games. And I think he really honed in on that and made sure I was bringing the best out of myself. I disliked players who go hiding in big games, because if you're going to make mistakes, it's not the end of the world. Do you know what I mean? I was never afraid to make mistakes. That was one of the biggest things that I'm most proud about myself. So if you're going to be afraid of the occasion or making a mistake, it's not the occasion for you. I'd actually been training with Munster, and Ronan O'Gara obviously pulled me to the side. He was like, there's the Six Nations coming up and you're going to be in it, you know, you're going to be called into the camp. I was like, what, you're crazy. I was only 21 or something at the time, and I'll never forget it. He pulled me to the side and told me I was right there, and, you know, was holding me to a certain standard in training, whether it was chasing a cross kick, not letting it bounce, or finishing a try when, you know, I knew I was going to score. Those little pedantic things, he'd be on my case, and he kept at me, you're right there, you're going to be picked for Ireland, you're going to be picked for Ireland. And it came about shortly after, yeah. Declan Kidney ended up giving me a phone call or announcing me in the squad, and got a first cap in Eden Park in New Zealand against one of the best All Black teams of all time. It was just, it felt like a dream. It felt like a whirlwind. I couldn't believe everything was happening so fast, but everything that kept coming, you know, just felt like it was normal or to be expected. I don't know how to really explain it, but it was like the craziest 12 or 18 months in your life, you know, because when you're growing up as a kid, you have so many dreams, especially when you realise rugby's my dream and I would want to be a pro. Every night you were going to bed, you know, dreaming of scenarios like World Cup finals, Champions Cup finals, scoring a try here, or, you know, making your mark in this game here. And then the dream of playing for the Lions. We were on tour to the US, and Joe Schmidt and Mick Carney came up to me and they just put me to the side and said, "You've been called up to the squad." And I was like, what do you mean? I'm here playing. They're like, "You're going to the Lions. You're leaving in the first thing in the morning on your own." And I was like blown away. It was all a bit of a whirlwind. I was like, oh my God, panicking, nervous. It's just a whirlwind of emotions, and very exciting how it came about, but probably could have waited till I showered and calmed down.
Simon Zebo, congratulations on your call up to the Lions.
Thanks very much. Yeah, absolutely delighted. Hugely exciting times ahead, and yeah, it's just really exciting news. I couldn't believe it at the time. You know, it's always a bit surreal, even though you kind of know there's maybe a slight chance that you might get a phone call. But you know, when the news actually came, there was a bit of a surreal feel to it, and yeah, just over the moon. As
soon as you walked into the team room, you felt like everybody's on the same page. You get collecting all your gear, all your new suitcases of Lions gear, which is really exciting. I took the bag up to my room and just looked at the crest and all the kit for about an hour. Like, oh my God, I'm going to be wearing this kit. I'm going to get to play in a Lions game. And yeah, you just feel like that little child comes out in you. But that was super cool. I think it's only now that I'm retired I really appreciate, you know, how amazing those times were, early doors in the career, getting to achieve so much so fast. I'd be a big believer in your thoughts becoming reality, like huge. And even if I wasn't as good, or you know, even if I didn't have the ability or speed of some others or physicality of some other, I'd always manifest and believe in me playing at the highest level and me doing amazing things on the pitch every single night, hours just in my own thoughts. Playing with the level of players you're playing with and wearing the Lions jersey, I don't understand how you can't play your best rugby if you're in a Lions jersey. That's when you need to be the best version of you know. And my sister had travelled over from Ireland, and she was watching in the stadium at one of the games, and I had done something good or really good, and the Zebo chant started to go around, and I started to give it a bit more, and my sister was in the crowd, like she couldn't believe that I had just started playing for Munster. She was trying to process that, never mind Ireland and the Lions coming so quickly, but she was in a stadium in Australia after flying around the world, and she was just thinking of my dad coming from a small island in Martinique, and you know, now his family name is being sung the other side of the world around a stadium, which was quite poignant, quite special, and my sister felt all that emotion, so that stands out for me personally.
So these men know they are not just carrying their hopes, but the hopes of so many, years of hopes, that now come down to this one day.
It was 1-1 going into the third test. It was all riding on this, and away from home, and there was a lot of stake, and yeah, I think the manner in which we played that day was incredible. You know, Jamie Roberts, you know, crashing over, and Johnny scoring, and Daniel Craig coming into the change rooms after, you know, and the champagne going, and that proper sense of achievement, and we were all in it together, and it was just incredibly special. The celebrations went crazy, and it was something you'll definitely never forget. Probably knocked a couple of years off us, years of life off us, a few months anyway. But the celebrations lasted a long time, and there will forever be a bond between all those players who were on that tour in 2013. First of all, I have great pride in what I was able to achieve and the teams I was able to represent and the players I was able to play with. I think the main thing rugby has given me is the friendships and the ability to have seen the world. You know, the places we've got to travel are incredible, and the people you meet along the way make that all the more special, yeah. My Lions legacy, someone who enjoyed the crack, but also played with the same spirit. I don't know, an entertainer on and off the pitch. That's better.